Shields up, Ironbreakers, and welcome back to Monster Hunter Wilds. In today's video, I'm going to be bringing you a crash course on how to utilize the Gunlance based on my experience playing the Monster Hunter Wilds open beta. This is not going to be a full-on guide because naturally we only have access to one Gunlance with normal shelling. We don't have access to wide shelling or long shelling, and we also don't have access to any of the skills that are going to be present in the final game, at least any of the skills that would be relevant for the utilization of the Gunlance, so there's still a whole lot to learn about the weapon. However, this can act as a good primer if you're trying to play the Gunlance in the open beta or any future demo opportunities, or even during the beginning of Monster Hunter Wilds, but do expect me to do a full-on guide later on. So with that out of the way, let's get started by talking about the fact that sharpness has been greatly improved in the Gunlance. Jesus Christ, you do not understand how much Gunlance mains used to suffer from sharpness. Like, let me explain something to you, okay? Doing this move in Monster Hunter World will put you at like half your sharpness. Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it would eat through your sharpness like nobody's business. In an early level Gunlance, doing full bursts would probably put you into yellow, well, not yellow because you started yellow with some of the Gunlances, but it would basically lower your sharpness by one level easy. Doing 3 or 4 full bursts would put you in the red zone and it's time to sharpen, or you can't even shell anymore. Whereas now, look at this! We can shell with impunity for days. And thank God for that, because shelling never did that much damage to begin with, and it did not need that hefty sharpness cost. So that is one of the very good news. Now, the other thing, if you look at our weapon gauge on the top left-hand side, you'll notice there's 2 bullets there. What are those 2 bullets? Those bullets are your Wyvern Fire charges. Yes, charges, plural, because now we get 2 of them. So you can do 2 Wyvern Fires back to back, and that is going to come into play, which is pretty friggin' cool. But another cool thing is that shelling now recharges your Wyvern Fire. So we're going to do a charged shell here, which works differently as well. Although I don't really think that charged shell is going to be particularly effective for normal shelling, because as you can see, it takes a long time to charge up. It basically levels up for each of the shells and then fires all of the shells. If you only level it up partially, it's only going to consume a couple of shells. So right there, we only did a 2 charge shell, 3 charge shell. So it's basically the way that charge shelling works. But if you'll notice, just shelling charged up our Wyvern Fire. We have our Wyvern Fire charged back, which is what I want to do, which is pretty cool. Another thing is blocking is faster. So if you guys remember, we have this very lengthy reload animation. You can kind of cancel out of this animation early by blocking, which is pretty cool. It kind of just like goes like this, which is much faster. And blocking is faster, as in recovering from your moves, and blocking is much faster than it's ever been, as far as I'm concerned. Because this used to be a major problem for Gunlance, because it has limited mobility. As you can see, we can kind of like hop around and stuff, but the mobility's always been limited, so therefore, a lot of times our only option really is to just block. And if you're caught in the middle of a combo and you're trying to block in some of the previous games, it would take so long for you to actually recover into a block that you would usually just end up getting hit. So the faster blocking is greatly appreciated. Now, another thing is there's also perfect blocking. You'll notice that our character is kind of like a bit of a circular motion, almost like Adept style back in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, if you've played that game. And that is because it does count for a perfect block whenever you are doing this. So if you block very last second, you're going to be able to do perfect blocks, and perfect blocks enable you to do things like faster Wyvern Fire, overhead slams, and go into charge shelling. I'll show you guys an example of this when we fight the Chatakapa, because all of my videos that talk about weapons, we're going to be, unloading on a Chatakapa because he's the easiest dude to deal with. But yeah, so perfect blocking gives you a lot of openings, pretty cool stuff, a lot of cool moves and stuff like that. Now beyond that, we still have the traditional pokes. We have the dodges that we've always had with the Gunlance. Do keep in mind, for a lot of people that are starting out Gunlance fresh, that usually your dodges, you would want to do them like after an attack, like so that you can dodge sideways, because just in case you're like, oh, I keep dodging, my character turns and does all these things. Usually these dodges come after you doing a move, and you can chain together 2 dodges, and then there's also the backwards dodge, which is special, which if you press the directional stick in the direction that you're dodging, and so long as you're doing it backwards, your character will dodge a little bit more. So like, this dodge is much longer than this one, right? So you perform an action, press back and dodge, boom. You can also do it in reverse. So say you want to, okay, I want to actually move in this direction, turn your character around, dodge, and then dodge again. It's a little bit finicky for some reason. Like, I've been struggling a little bit. I don't know if there's like a delay in the inputs, but you can definitely do it. Like you saw I do it there. There's something going on there. Maybe it's the fact that I'm playing a resolution mode. I don't know, but it works. Basically, you aim the stick in the direction that you want to dodge, and then you press dodge, and it actually goes a little bit further than usual, so long as you're doing it backwards. Okay? But anyways, you have all of your standard moves, right? You still have your rising, and then your slam, and then your wide sweep. You still have like your basic full burst, which can be done in the same ways that you've done in previous games, which for those of you wondering, this particular combo is just like block, and then poke, and then while you're holding block, you hit the reload button, and then you press triangle and circle, and that goes into the slam, then you press circle, boom, and then you press triangle again for the wide sweep, and then you reload, and you can do it all over again. This used to be the old full burst combo, and it still works pretty much the same, and it's usually something that you'll want to do whenever you have a smaller opening, but if you have bigger openings, there are now better things to do. Now, an interesting thing to call out is the fact that if you now just mash triangle, you're going to go into the wide sweep, which this is going to be very important because the wide sweep is going to unlock a whole new move for the Gunlance. This is why they're giving you shortcuts to get into the wide sweep. And then you no longer have the shell poke that we used to have, which was like shell, and then the third shell would actually do a wyvern cannon. That no longer works. The wyvern cannon now comes after the wide sweep. Now the thing is, even though we no longer have shell with wyvern cannon, the one thing that we did get is this weird shell step, which basically you aim in a direction, you press the shelling button, your character moves in that direction. And this is very, very, very good. And you guys are like, I mean, the dodges are very low. Yeah, because we don't have a Veda extender yet. We'll eventually get a Veda extender, but basically this gives you a bunch of dodges that you can do while you're shelling, which are great for positioning once you get the hang of it. It takes a little bit to get the hang of it, but that's why you're going to be using focus mode by pressing down on L2. This will allow you to kind of like really control how you're positioning, which way you're facing, and this is going to be one of the most important things to master with the Gunlance, I feel like, for the final game. At least that is the vibe that I'm getting, because you're going to be positioning while shooting, and at the same time, there's no limit to the amount. I mean, the limit is going to be the amount of shells you have, because then you have to reload. But the good news is that if you notice, our shield is going to flash when we do a quick reload like that. That's because that's a guard point right there, baby. You'll love to see it. Guard points all over the Gunlance's moveset, bro. I'm all about that. And those guard points are capable of doing perfect blocking. So if you do a perfect blocking with these, you can also go into the slam and do all of that good stuff. Also, after the quick reload, you can do the slam. It's fantastic. Now, the thing is, these shells are also a shortcut for the wide sweep. That right there's the wide sweep. It can be done in multiple ways. But the wide sweep, like I've told you, is now the one move that unlocks your worm stake cannon. So if you just hit triangle non-stop, you're going to get into the wide sweep, and eventually you're going to get into the worm stake cannon. The worm stake cannon is going to be very important because the worm stake cannon now unlocks a faster wyvern fire. So let's compare, shall we? This is your regular wyvern fire. Notice how long that took, right? Now let's do a wyvern fire after a wyvern stake cannon. That charged way faster, which is absolutely phenomenal. Now, that is going to be very important because, like I told you, your wide sweep unlocks your wyvern stake cannon, and then your wyvern stake cannon unlocks faster wyvern fires, and that is going to be something that you want to take advantage of. Now, we're doing a couple of charged shells here in the barrel, mostly to just reload a wyvern stake, or wyvern fire. Notice how much faster it's reloading. It's so good, dude. I love this. This is so much better than having to wait 90 seconds or however long it was. Like a couple of charged shells just put us there. And it doesn't have to be charged shells, like any shell will do, right? So just regular shelling, full burst, anything like that, everything goes. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, let's talk about this because one of the things that people will want to do is going to be what is now called the Wyvern Stake Full Blast, I think is the name of this move. And that is going to come after the wide sweep. So if after a wide sweep you do a triangle circle, here's what's going to happen. Triangle circle. So that is one move. So that's not like two inputs or anything like that. That is one move. And that is your full blast, okay? And the thing is, you can follow up that full blast with another one. If you now press triangle, and that is basically 2 stakes and 2 full bursts in one go. The problem is that, as you can tell, massive animation commitment, but that's always been the case when it comes to the Gunlance. It's always been a weapon that requires a tremendous amount of animation commitment. The thing is, there's going to be guard points in the middle of that moveset. So whenever your shield is up while you're doing this, so like whenever you're doing the reloads, right there. Wait, we didn't do a reload. Oops, my bad. So whenever your shield is up, like so, do this. That right there's a guard point, and that right there's a guard point too. You can see the shield glowing whenever the guard points come up, which is absolutely phenomenal. All of those are guard points, and it feels fantastic to just play the Gunlance constantly popping off guard points left, right, and center. But again, heavy commitment on that animation. And the thing is, if you notice, that particular move is going to end on a worm stake cannon. Now, what did I tell you earlier that worm stake cannons unlock? Faster wyvern fires. So if you're going to do that, you can also do it from here, by the way, from the slam into this, then triangle, circle, boom, and then comes again, boom. And after this, you can just straight up go into the faster wyvern fire. Bam. And after that wyvern fire, you can go into another wyvern fire. Hells yeah, dude. This is the best thing ever. And wyvern fire now has much bigger reach, because if you notice, we hit the barrel and look at how far away we are. Like, the barrel's all the way over there, dude. And we still hit it. So the reason why wyvern fire is so much larger in terms of reach now is because, quite simply, wyvern fire never even did that much damage to begin with. Like, it does a decent chunk of damage, and it's true damage and all of that, but it's never been like impressive amounts of damage. So giving it more range is okay, and also you need to have more range on wyvern fire, simply because otherwise you're not going to be able to land that second wyvern fire because of the recoil from the first one. So this is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love this. And yeah, the Gunlance is a fantastic weapon. Now, the thing is, like I told you, you just got to keep in mind the way that this works is you still have your regular worm stakes and your regular wide sweeps and all that stuff. And these moves that I just told you work on all of them. So any of the moves that leads you into wide sweep, that move is going to unlock the full blast. So the fastest way to get into a wide sweep, whilst also positioning yourself at the same time, is through shell step. Boom. You just do like any direction, and shell, and then triangle. Shell and triangle. Shell and triangle. And you always get to the wide sweep, and that wide sweep is going to unlock your wyvern fire full burst. Now the thing is, you've noticed that it's a little bit unwieldy as you are aiming it because your character moves in all kinds of different ways. That's why focus mode is there. While you're doing your full burst, you want to hit that L2 and aim your character in the right direction as she's doing it. So for instance, you go like this. Now we aim it over here, and now we're gonna make sure to keep aiming it there. Make sure to keep aiming it, go into wyvern fire, still aiming, go into wyvern fire again, still aiming. Absolutely gorgeous. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Now let's go ahead and do a quick Chotacabra hunt to show you this whole thing in practice, shall we? Okay, so our target is directly ahead of us, so I would like to talk to you about how you should be handling, engaging a monster whenever it comes to jumping in with Sacred, because a lot of us are going to just want to jump in, go right into the action. Do remember that there is sneak attacks and stuff like that, so if you sneak up on the monster from behind, you can do a sneak attack, which actually does a decent chunk of damage. But while you're on Sacred, you can kind of like attack the monster by pressing triangle. But this attack is pretty worthless. I actually wouldn't recommend it with the Gunlance. It's not a particularly strong attack. Now, another thing that you can do is you can press X to jump off of Sacred, and then you can press R2 to do a slam, which is pretty good because that actually puts you in a position to even just go ahead and do a full burst. So you can just press X, slam, full burst, and then you can go straight into the action. This is actually going to be one of the better attacks to do. However, if you happen to be fighting a monster that potentially could be flying, or maybe it's a big enough monster where an aerial full burst makes sense, what you can do is you can press triangle and circle, and your character dismounts and does that. There was also a flash bug on the way, which is why you guys saw the flash, but basically this is just an aerial You can do a regular dismount with triangle as well that I did there, but, you know, circle and triangle, and that will get you your aerial full burst dismount, which is pretty good. But like I said, in my opinion, it is better to just go up to the target and then jump off and slam. Now, another thing that you can do right at the beginning with any weapon, like I told you, is that stealth attack. So we're going to go ahead, pop the ghillie mantle, kind of jump off, sneak up behind him. You'll want to have your weapon sheathed, and then you just press circle when you come up on the monster. Bam. Now this also chains nicely into a wide sweep, so you can straight up go into the full Wormstake Blast before the monster even gets a chance to do anything. And then here you can go into a Wyvern Fire straight up. And another Wyvern Fire, which is absolutely phenomenal. Bam! There it be. Now one of the things that I didn't show you during the training dummy, because it doesn't make sense to do, is the Focus Strike, but he doesn't really have a wound right now because we busted up most of his wounds, so I'm not going to be showing it to you anyway. Like I told you, one of the best things to do is you can just go into the wide sweep from the shells thing, and then you can go into your full multi-stake. And there you go, we have a wound. Now that we have a wound, let's actually go ahead and show off the thing. Using the stake here is actually annoying. Oh, that tongue. You can actually punish that tongue as well, but you know, you want to bust as many of the wounds as possible because that gives you a bonus. So you want to hit that Drake Auger on as many things as possible. There's another perfect guard, and we're going to go into the slam because we don't have Wormstake currently. Not Wormstake, Wyvern Fire. And we have a clash, mash triangle. Boom. That is beautiful. We now have another Wyvern Fire charge, so we're going to go ahead and just do our full combo. If I could be bothered to actually master the focus mode, which I still haven't. Like, focus mode is going to require a lot of muscle memory from people to get used to it. There's another perfect guard. I'm going to go here. We're actually going to go the old school Wormstake into Wyvern Fire. We can also blow wounds this way, which is great. We only had one Wyvern Fire, though, so, you know, it is what it is. I was trying to get our Focus Strike here. We're going to get that Focus Strike going. Focus Strike, by the way, is L2 plus R1. It's a little bit weird the first couple of times you're doing it. It's going to take us a while to adjust to it, which is expected. You can also, again, you can just do the usual full burst rotation if that's something that you want to do, but in my opinion, you know, considering the openings that you're required to have for the old full burst, I would actually recommend just straight up going into the Wyvern Stake Full Blast, because that's actually a little bit better. So again, you can do shell into wide sweep, into full blast. Remember to turn around using your focus in case stuff moves out of the way. Once again, going to go into that faster Wyvern Fire. Boom. The Wyvern Fire will often burst wounds by itself, which is fine because wounds just deal massive amounts of damage anyway. Oh man, this poor Chat the Crowd is just not having a good day now, is he? What's going on, buddy? Now we're going to mount Sacred because it's running away, obviously. So we're going to go ahead, sharpen while we're at it. And I know that there's going to be so many people, oh, you're sharpening while you don't understand. You completely missed the point if that's your whatever, it doesn't matter. So we're gonna jump in here and we're gonna go for that slam that I told you guys about. Into full burst, into wide sweep, into multi, because you can do the multi even without shells. It still works. And unfortunately we don't have the Wyvern Fire. I was trying to go for the Wyvern Fire right there. Yeah, it's just fantastic. Again, see, you can go into that multi-stake even without shells. It will just do the move, and then it will reload for the second one. And then boom, right there. Oops. Got hit there. You're not going to cart me now, are you, Chart the Cabra? That would be just embarrassing. And there he is. And that's the Gunlance in Monster Hunter Wilds. Did you guys enjoy it? Was this useful for you? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, peace out.